privilege of serving as next year's Junior League president. Thank you for your patience this morning. We were, of course, trying to work through a few technical details, and as we're just used to that right now in this environment. So thank you for your patience. We are so excited to talk with you today about the community grants and the various options that you can apply for. We have an awesome group here that's just going to let you know everything that you need to know, what we're looking for, the various opportunities. As we go into our 100th year, we are really excited about the projects that we'll be able to support and the volunteers that we'll be able to provide our agencies. And we're really looking forward to doing more stuff in person as we move into the next phase of our league history. So with that, in our welcome, I am honored now to introduce Lindsay Davis, who has served as this year's R&D chair, and she will be our incoming community VP. So Lindsay.
Thank you so much, Krista, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We're really excited to have you here, and we can't wait to share with you all of the different ways that you can interact with the grant opportunities available through the Junior League of Dallas. So we will be going through quite a bit of information today, but this is being recorded, so we will make sure that everyone has access to the recording afterwards as well. First, I'll be taking you through a bit of an overview of our mission and our goals as the Junior League of Dallas. Next, we'll be overviewing the impact that we have in the community. And then, of course, all of the different grant opportunities, Kids in the Kitchen, community outreach, provisional projects, transfer projects, and our community program. You might have noticed we were planning on using a Q&A session at the end with breakout rooms, but what we're going to do instead this morning, if you all have questions, please type them in the chat as they come up, and we'll make sure to field those questions as they come in. So hopefully that will give everyone a chance to learn a little bit more this morning. So as we begin, I wanted to make sure you all kind of know all of the players this morning. So you'll be hearing from the outgoing chairs, each of us speaking about our particular area. So community outreach, you'll be hearing from Ashley, with Sarah being the incoming chair. From provisional projects, you'll be hearing from Catherine, the outgoing chair, and Netta will be serving as our incoming chair. With Kids in the Kitchen, you'll be hearing from Courtney, our outgoing chair, and Teresa will be serving as our incoming chair. For transfer projects, you'll be hearing from Heather as the outgoing chair, and Dulari will be serving as the incoming chair. And then for research and development, you will be hearing from me as the outgoing chair, and Katie will be serving as the incoming chair. We wanted to make sure that you all know kind of incoming versus outgoing, because again, you'll be working with the incoming chairs as you put in your grant applications for the upcoming year. But you will be hearing from us as outgoing chairs this morning. So these are the folks that you'll need to work with as you have questions, and you'll get to hear from each area today. We also have our outgoing community vice president, Carrie Hill, with us this morning, and so we're really appreciative of her being here. I wanted to run through, again, mission statement and goals really quickly so that you all can understand how the Junior League of Dallas interacts with the community. So the Junior League of Dallas is an organization of women committed to promoting volunteerism, developing the potential of women, and improving the community through the effective action and leadership of trained volunteers. We have 3 position statements within the Junior League of Dallas. First, that we promote quality health services, awareness, and prevention. Second, that we strengthen the security and stability of individuals and families. And third, that we promote excellence in education and inspire creativity. Taking that a little bit further into practice, you will see that we have 6 issue areas where we group all of our community projects. So each of our community program projects will fall into one of these 6 issue areas, which does tie back to our position statements. That's arts and cultural enrichment, education, family preservation, health, poverty intervention, and violence intervention. I did want to share with you all the community impact that we are planning to have for this upcoming league year, and also a little bit of information about what we've been doing this year. So for the 21-22 year upcoming, our nearly 5,000 volunteers will contribute more than 130,000 uncompensated hours to 38 community projects, 3 signature projects, and other projects and committees of the Junior League of Dallas. looking at holistically at all of our community work. And we give approximately $1 million annually to support nonprofits in the Dallas community. And our members serve on more than 50 boards and community coalitions throughout the community of Dallas. As Krista mentioned, this upcoming year will also be our 100th year, our centennial year. And so we are really excited to make this our best year yet, with how we collaborate with all of the amazing nonprofit agencies within the greater Dallas community. Now to the meat of the presentation, if you will, we want to make sure that you are aware of the many different ways that you can interact with the Junior League of Dallas through our grant opportunities. So to start us off with that this morning, I would love to introduce Courtney Gear, who is our outgoing chair for Kids in the Kitchen. Courtney, it's all you.
Awesome. Thanks, Lindsay. Can everyone hear me okay?
You're good.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Excited to be talking to you all. Kids in the Kitchen is one of our signature projects, and really excited to share with you more about the program. So Kids in the Kitchen, our goal is really to empower youth in grades K through 5. So typically we're working with after-school programs or programs that, especially whether it's summer or during the school year, include kids in that age range. Our goal is to just teach them more about healthy lifestyles, right? So if you think about reversing the growth of childhood obesity and its associated health issues, our goal with Kids in the Kitchen is just to try to build awareness, teach kids what the food groups are, help them make healthy recipes, just to try to get them to think about the fact that, hot fried Cheetos in front of the TV is not really the best dinner, right? So that's really the goal of Kids in the Kitchen, is to get them to start making better healthy lifestyle choices. We provide an 8-week curriculum that includes both nutrition information. It has a very kind of step-by-step process for how to run the curriculum. There's fitness activities and recipes all included. So we really try to make it as easy as possible for your agencies to actually execute the program. You can go to the next slide, Lindsay. In terms of the application, our application is actually now available on the website. So if you go to jld.net, to the community tab, go down to Kids in the Kitchen, you can actually then on our website, you'll see a box that says apply now for the 2021-2022 application period. It's an online application, so you actually don't even have to email us anything. This is a change we've made kind of going forward, trying to go green and make things easier for you all. So we'd love for you to go ahead and complete that application sooner than later. It's pretty straightforward. All we're really looking to understand is, are there other programs you're already doing? What's your mission as opposed to Kids in the Kitchen? How many kids are you expecting? How many locations? So please do tell us kind of the maximum. The way this works is through the application period, we will actually then determine the agencies, we'll vet each of the agencies that apply. And then if you are selected, it will be based on the numbers you submitted in the application. So it's okay to go a little bit high. That's not going to deter us from selecting you or anything. And we find that it just helps us numbers wise because we end up buying supplies based on those application numbers. Last thing I want to call out is the application deadline will be Monday, May 31st at 5 p.m. So please go ahead. I know it's fresh on your mind, so apply as soon as you can. We'll be accepting those applications until May 31st. And that is all from me. So excited to have all of you apply for Kids in the Kitchen. It's a great program. Try to make it super easy for you all. Kids really enjoy it. So I see many familiar names on the call, so hopefully you'll be a repeat, or if it's something that you haven't previously participated in and want to apply, we would love to have you. So with that, I'll pass it over to Ashley for community outreach.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am Ashley Bernecki, so I am the Community Outreach Chair. We can go to the next slide. Basically what community outreach, we have a community assistance fund. And so what that is, it's a emergency grant. And so it's for any unplanned short-term emergency funding for agencies in Dallas County. And there are some parameters. So it has to hit a critical given need. It has to go to like program related expenses. So no, administrative costs or anything. And this would be, and you would submit like an application and you would receive funding up to $5,000. It's a rolling application, so we see applications all this year. And so, of course, this year we've seen a lot of emergency funding for COVID requests, a couple of things from like the winter storm. And so with the application, you'll submit a plethora of things. It's all done online, but it would be like the application, some financials, a board of director list, and everything should be listed in the application. If you want to go to the next slide. And then you can find out more and grab an application on our website. It's submitted online in a portal. So you would go to our website and then community and then request our support. And again, applications are submitted throughout the year. It's a rolling basis. So kind of the process is once you receive the application, we'll review, it'll be handed over to an analyst, and they will reach out to you if they have any questions. And then it will be presented to our committee, and our committee will have a dialogue, and then someone will be reaching out to you with a decision. And that's usually, within a couple of weeks, all of that happens. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at outreach@jld.net. All right, and then I will pass it over to Catherine with Provisional Projects.
Thank you, Ashley. Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, thank you. I've been having some technical issues this morning, so I'm glad everything is working. My name is Catherine Sain. I'm currently the Provisional Chair, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our Provisional Projects. Can you go to the next slide? Just to share some of our, I don't know if some of you are new to the Junior League, but we call our first year members Provisional members. The first year of membership in the Junior League looks a little bit different from the other years, but during the first year, we have a 1-year comprehensive training course that includes a service component, which is our Provisional Project. So in addition to getting a lot of training on the league, instead of being in a full placement, a 60-hour placement, our Provisionals do a Provisional Project. And our goal is for our project to train our Provisionals to be effective volunteers. And here we have a picture of the Provisional Project we had from this year, which was we did a Christmas market at St. Philip's School Community Center, and our volunteers helped with handing out gifts. It was all outdoors and masks and socially distanced, to give you a little bit of an idea of how we did Provisional Projects this year. Next slide. In general, we did things a little bit differently this year. So if you did a Provisional Project with us this year, we had some differences, but we're hoping that we're going to be more kind of back to normal for the 21-22 year. Each project we ask must offer 20 hours of service opportunities for each volunteer. And so we count orientation in that time and preparation time, as well as actual time volunteering at your agency. Typically, we ask that a project can be completed in a weekend or over a few weekends, so that we try to keep the project within, about a month or a few weeks from beginning to end. We ask that each project support at least 25 to 35 volunteers, although we can be a little bit flexible on that. And we've had to pivot a lot this year, as everyone else has, in dealing with COVID. This year, we managed to provide opportunities for our Provisionals that were entirely virtual, as well as some that were in person, as you saw with St. Philip's. So as we move into 21-22, not quite knowing what things will look like, we do encourage you to provide us applications for projects that include virtual components, or even we would consider entirely virtual projects for next year. Next slide. We ask that each project make an immediate impact to the agency. We would like the project to, in addition to provide community service, to give our volunteers the opportunity to work in a group setting so they can get to know each other as they're new to the league, and this is one of their first opportunities to meet other members. And then we also ask for your agency to provide a staff member to oversee volunteers for the entire project. Here's another picture from this past year. We supported EarthX at a dinner that they had. It was indoors, in person, and as you can see, fully masked our volunteers who are assisting with that dinner. Next slide. In addition to providing the volunteers, we provide some funding. We will grant up to $700 per project. So if there are funds that you would need for the project that you would like, you can include those details in the budget worksheet with the application. And the application, like the others, will be available online. We're accepting applications until 5 p.m. on Monday, April 19th, 2021. We hope to find out about fun opportunities to have for our provisionals. So next slide. And I'd like to introduce Heather Lorsch to talk about transfer projects.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks, Catherine. Again, I'm Heather Lorsch, and I'm currently chairing our transfer committee this year. Lindsay, if you wouldn't mind proceeding to the next slide. Thank you. Again, like most parts of our organization and most of the work that we've been doing in the community, obviously we too have been doing a great deal of pivoting, and our transfer committee is responsible for basically welcoming individuals who have transferred from another junior league from some other part of the country and who are joining the Dallas Junior League. And so ultimately the Junior League of Dallas is, again, one of the larger leagues in the country, and a lot of the orientation that we provide to them is not only helping them understand how we as an organization operate, because it might be quite different from the league that they were a member of previously, but also helping them understand the very large scale impact that we have in this community, and helping them understand how we're organized, what agencies we support, and some of the orientation that we provided to you a little bit earlier in this presentation. Again, like our provisional partners, we have been pivoting. So you'll see on the lower left is actually a screenshot from what was our first transfer project that we did this year, which was actually completed this past Saturday. It was a virtual option that included essentially a contactless pickup and then later drop off of the materials. But we partnered with Dallas After School and helped them complete Wonder Kits, which are these kits that they provide to students that essentially help give them some education in the STEM realm. And so this is actually a great activity that they walked us through to give us a better idea of how they interact with those students. And ultimately, we were responsible for working in teams and creating these little cars out of just sort of everyday materials that you might find in your home, things like straws, lifesavers, balloons, and so forth. The project that we helped them complete was to basically create and prepare components that will ultimately go into all of the different kits and after-school materials that they provide to the students. So we've completed tasks that even things something as very simple as sorting balloons, putting sheets of construction paper in packages of 15, doing the same for popsicle sticks, tongue depressors, all kinds of things that are ultimately used, everyday objects that are used as part of these kits, and again, these opportunities for education for these students. One of the things that's probably even a little bit more critical for our transfers, perhaps even beyond that, as there's certainly a social component for our provisionals as well. But remember that in the case of our transfers, they are, in addition to being new to the Junior League of Dallas, they're also new to the community at large. So they are looking to make connections on a social level as well. And so that's why any project that's a great fit for the transfer committee is one where there's a lot of opportunity for our members to socialize during the course of the project. Lindsay, if you'd advance to the next slide. Thank you. These are some photographs from our second project last year, actually our first project last year. Unfortunately, we were not able to complete our second project last year, but that too, very much, as Catherine said, for provisionals is why we would certainly ask, again, not knowing exactly what this upcoming year looks like, and also understanding that there's been a much greater desire across the board, both in the volunteer setting as well as in the workplace, for opportunities to be virtual in nature in some form. So something to consider as you're proposing a project to us for next year. But each project for transfers, basically it's going to look like about 6 to 8 hours of service total with a lunch break in the middle. Generally, they are completed on Saturdays. Each project must support somewhere between 25 and with a maximum of volunteers. Obviously, in any given year, we have kind of a base number. Generally speaking, we have about 50 to 60 folks who transfer I should say, as an active member of the Junior League from another league into our own. And they, of course, join us over the course of the year. So we don't necessarily know exactly how many folks will be there, but this is about the number that we want to make sure our projects could support. Lindsay, you can move on to the next slide. Great. And again, as I mentioned, criteria for this is, again, quite similar to that of the provisional projects, but we're looking for something that's going to make an immediate impact on the community. And also one that is, generally speaking, something that's sort of in a done-in-a-day type of capacity, that type of format. And again, allowing our members to have the opportunity to interact socially is really, really critical, particularly for our transfers. Our application is also available online. And again, our deadline is a little bit sooner. It's April 19th. That just gives us an opportunity to review and evaluate ultimately review and evaluate the materials and make a selection, and obviously get back to those two agencies that are selected, in addition to those that were ultimately not selected for our project. So, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And with that, I'm actually going to turn it back over to Lindsay.
Thank you so much, Heather. Really appreciate it. And so the last grant opportunity that you all will hear about today is the grants that are a part of our community program, which are reviewed through our research and development process. So there are several required documents for a community program application. First, there's the application itself, no surprise there. We also ask that each applicant complete a community impact report. And I will give you a couple examples of what that looks like here in just a moment. But mostly we're looking to see what kind of direct impact your work has on the community. So maybe that is an educational attainment rate that some of your programming has been shown to produce, or perhaps that is a rate of job ascertainment that your clients are able to gain after participating in your program. Whatever it is that your agency's focus is, and we want to see what that looks like in an actionable way. So it is an Excel document that you will complete in addition to that grant application. We also ask for some financial documents. First, a letter certifying your 501c3 tax exempt status, a list of your current officers and board of directors, certificate of insurance, audited financials for the past 3 years, annual budget and balance sheet for the current fiscal year, and then a prior year actual compared to budget. And then lastly, if you do have any sort of special circumstances that you need to explain financially, excuse me, you're welcome to include those there as well. So all of those documents are really what comprises the research and development application for the community program of the Junior League of Dallas. And here again is a little bit more about our community impact. So again, we're really looking for measurable impacts, really data that we can sink our teeth into to see the impact that your amazing agencies are making on the community. So I included a couple of examples here from some of our current agencies. So as an example, at our Friends Place, 100% of program participants reported improvement in their personal financial management, and 92% reported an increase in their social and emotional management skills. So great example of, actionable data, something that shows us what the programs at our Friends Place are accomplishing with their clients. Another example from Genesis Women's Shelter and Support, 80% of adult clients and 60% of child clients who suffer from PTSD reported reduced PTSD symptoms by more than 50% by the time they leave the shelter. So of course, this looks different depending on what your agency's focus is, but they're just a couple of good examples so you can start to see what we're seeking to learn through that community impact report that's a part of our application. I did want to walk you all through what the research and development process looks like as well. So you will submit your applications and more info on the deadline to come and on how to submit them. We'll get to all of that too. But first, we're going through kind of an initial review with some of our league leadership. And so this is just looking to make sure that your proposed project matches the mission of the Junior League and that it adheres to all of our policies as a league. And then we go on to what I like to call a concurrent review system, where we have both qualitative and quantitative review being conducted by some of our league members. And so at the top there, you'll see the financial review piece. So our agencies do need to go through financial review based on the financial documents that you have supplied to us. And so this will be conducted by some of our financial analysts. So throughout the R&D process, you may be hearing from one of our financial analysts who has some questions about your financials. Then, in looking at the researchers' reports, those will also be going on. So R&D researchers will be looking at your qualitative application materials. So you'll be hearing from them as well throughout the process. So I think it's nice to know who could be contacting you, a financial analyst to check on those financials, or R&D researchers to look at the more qualitative pieces of your application. So all of that work is done. The applications are reviewed by a couple of different levels of committees. They are voted upon, and ultimately our board and our leadership council will vote on the recommendations of the Research and Development Committee, as will our general membership. We then get all of our members placed with your wonderful agencies, and the agency becomes a part of the community program. So again, I just think it's nice to know kind of how our process works and who could be contacting you. So all of this really runs from April through November the 2nd. see we have a question about audited financials, and we do require audited financials for part of our community program, but not all of our other grant opportunities do require those audited financials. Great question. And we'll go over deadlines again at the end as well. I see Brenda has a question there about the provisional project deadline too. So looking ahead, I did want to share with you all kind of what we're looking for in our community program application. So a good thing to know about our membership, most of our members prefer placements where they're able to work on the weekends and or the evenings. So both are not required. But most of our volunteers are working outside of the home. And so the ability to, earn all of their hours in weekends or evenings or a combination of the two truly is preferable for Junior League of Dallas members at this point in time. I also wanted to mention that some of your placements that you're proposing may be concentrated, and that's great, fine, and wonderful too. Examples of that could be summer camps or a holiday-focused placement where your agency has a lot of work going on in a really condensed period of time. And we do see concentrated placements in our community program. And again, as long as there are weekend and or evening hours, those can be a really effective match for the league as well. The other thing we really like to see is clearly defined, concrete placements that we can share with our members. We will ultimately put all of your placements and our placements into a great big community placement brochure. And so we need to be able to describe what our volunteers are going to be doing with your agency in about a one-page written form so we can make sure our members get really excited about the opportunity to serve with you. So thinking about that well-defined placement, something that we can clearly communicate to our membership in a couple of sentences that will make them really fired up to work with you. Also making sure that there are multiple opportunities for members to earn hours. What I mean by this is each of our active league members will need to earn 60 hours as a part of their placement. If you're only offering exactly 60 hours, it's very likely that something could come up in one of our members' lives. Maybe they have to miss one of the sessions they signed up for, or maybe a snowstorm happens. All kinds of things can pop up. So we really do ask that there are multiple opportunities for our members to earn their hours throughout your placement. So yes, those are, again, kind of things to look for. Yes, weekends and evenings, always good. Also well-defined and in excess of 60 hours, just in case things go wrong. As we have seen the last year, they definitely can. So flexibility in terms of amount of hours, always a good thing there. Alternatively, I also wanted to share with you all the most common reasons that agencies are released from the R&D process. So kind of some of the biggest hurdles we see and the biggest challenges we see in the R&D process. First, and a very nice supporting point to what I just said, if it's difficult for volunteers to earn enough hours, that's a really common reason that we do have to release an agency from the R&D process. So, maybe you have something that happens weekly that you need help with, but it only totals up to exactly 60 hours throughout the year. That, again, with all of the unknown in life, is going to be really challenging for our members to meet and maybe a reason for release. Also, unstable financials. I would remind you too that our community outreach fund does have our community assistance fund has emergency funding available, but we do need stable financials for our community program. Another reason for release is if the location for the volunteer request is either not identified or it's unclear or unsafe. So example of this, if you were proposing something that would be happening in a school, for example, and then the location was, all right, and that could be at any elementary school in DISD. That's going to make it really hard for our members to decide whether or not that location is appropriate for their schedule and their location. So we really do need to define the location a little bit more clearly to have, again, a good fit with our community program. Also, if the agency is not a fit within our 6 issue areas, that's a very clear reason for release. So you'll remember those 6 issue areas from earlier in the presentation: arts and culture, education, family preservation, health, poverty intervention, and violence intervention. We really need all of our community programs to fit within one of those 6 issue areas. And then the last reason that an agency could, or last most common, there we go, reason that an agency could be released is if we are just missing parts of your application. So please make sure that we have the application, the community impact report, all of the financial documents, so that our team has everything we need to do a really thorough review of your application. A couple of other items of importance that I wanted to go through very quickly. Each of our community projects must include 10 or more volunteers, and then we have one project chair who's kind of the leader of that group. So as you're writing your grants, make sure that you are at least requesting 10 volunteers and a project chair. That's the minimum for what we will grant through the community program process. Also, just quick to note, we do not send money to agencies without sending our volunteers. We promise you will love our volunteers. So if you're applying for the community program, you're applying for both volunteers and funding. Also wanted to remind you all that Junior League volunteers are not to be involved in fundraising, medical research, political and or religious activities. So, and when we talked about that kind of initial review phase, making sure that agencies, meet our policies, this is a big policy here. Our league members can't fundraise for you. They can't be involved in medical research, political and or religious activities. So that's what we're looking for in that initial review, is kind of making sure that there's not a policy issue there. Also, our project chairs are required to hold an ex officio seat on the agency's board. So the project chair's purpose is really to be a liaison between your agency and the Junior League of Dallas. So she will be managing those volunteers and also working in that liaison role by serving on your board. So keep that in mind as you're drafting those applications as well. And lastly, from a very operational point of view, we require that all of our agencies hold an orientation and training session for Junior League volunteers prior to the commencement of their volunteer shifts. So you'll remember that our league year starts on June the 1st. So you're probably looking at a summer orientation depending on when your project begins. And we do recognize that some of our projects will start at different points in time in the year, especially those working with schools or educational institutions, but know that we'll have to have an orientation. There will be questions about required orientation pieces on the application as well. I then wanted to take you all again through the deadline. We're going to then pivot and go through the website and where to actually find all of these things. We keep saying apply online. So we want to show you all what that looks like too. And so the deadline for submitting a community program application, again, including that community impact report, is Tuesday, April the 6th at 5 p.m. You will go to JLD.net to get started on our application process, and they must be submitted online. So again, making sure to keep documents nice and streamlined, no hard copies available. So please make sure everything is available online. All right, so we're going to go through application instructions, but I do see we have a question in the chat about whether or not you can apply for emergency support and the community impact opportunity. So Ashley, if you wouldn't mind just, taking that one, that'd be great.
Yes, so you can apply for both. So with the Community Assistance Fund, you just can only apply once in a calendar year. And so we do have agencies that have been a part of our community program and that have also received an emergency fund. So again, as long as you fit within those parameters and, we just determine as a committee to move forward, you can be in both. You could be, part of our operational projects, transfer projects, any of those. You just have to fit within those parameters of, it addresses a critical human need, it's a disruption in programming, things like that.
Thanks, Ashley, appreciate it. All right, folks, well, let's take you through where to find all of these documents now. So how to apply, how to find our online application materials. And there are lots of screenshots, so bear with me, and if y'all have questions, please put them in the chat. And all of our league members are ready to help you here as we can. So to get things started, you'll go to JLD.net. You will click on menu right up there in the upper right-hand corner. You will then see a little pop-down menu and a button that says request our support. So you will click there next. You'll then be able to log into the agency portal or create an account. So again, if you are a returning applicant, you'll have your agency portal information all ready to go. And if you're new to applications within the Junior League of Dallas, you will need to create an account. You'll then see up in agency resources, that's where you'll click next. So you've created your account or you've logged in. You'll see your little profile page and you will click on agency resources to begin to find all of our application documents. Then you will see a great list of all of the different places where you can submit your grant application. So you'll see the R&D application, community impact report, and all of the other grant opportunities that we've talked about today. So you will click as needed on the area to which you are applying. After you've downloaded the application, you've completed the application, you will upload everything back into the website. So again, all in that community resources tab. So you'll click OK, you'll hit submit, you'll hit OK, but you're not done yet. So don't want anyone to miss these next couple of steps. You'll then log back in to submit the application. And I would say too, as you all are going through this, if you have questions, there are so many people who are here to help, whether that's our staff at our Junior League of Dallas headquarters or any of our committee chairs. So please reach out if you have questions. So you'll log back in to submit the application. You'll then get this little screen will pop up. You'll select the type of application that you're completing, enter the amount of funds requested, the number of volunteers requested. You will upload that final application document, and then you will hit submit. After you've submitted, your home screen will look like this. So you'll be able to see down here that you have submitted items to us, and that will be a good clue for you that everything is where it needs to be. In terms of next steps, each of our teams will review your application materials, whether that is the Community Outreach Committee, the Transfer Committee, the Provisional Committee, the Kids in the Kitchen Committee, or the Research and Development Committee. We will be reviewing your application materials, and again, we'll reach out if we need additional information, if we have questions about anything. So know that you will be hearing from us. And then also we wanted to note that specific application status will not be updated on the website. It's just not the way that our system works. But if you do have questions about status, you're welcome to reach out to Christiane Hemkamp, and here's her email address. She's one of our amazing staff members at headquarters, and she can definitely check on application status for you. So don't expect that home screen to look any different once you've submitted the application, but you will hear from us when we're going through our evaluation processes. So again, at this point, that really does wrap our presentation for the day. Again, our breakout rooms are not feeling it this morning, but we are here to answer any questions that you all might have. So anything we can help you with, you're welcome to put it in the chat, and we'll gladly answer to the best of our abilities. All right, well, I'm not seeing any questions pop up, but again, we'll have this meeting recorded. Yes, and the link for the community program will be open later this morning. So our applications will be up and ready to go. We have the deadlines in the presentation, and they will all be listed on the website too. So we will make sure you have access to items in multiple formats. And then this meeting again is being recorded and will be posted on our website if you wanted to go back and revisit anything that we talked about this morning. So if there are no other questions, I would like to end by just saying thank you so much for your time this morning. I hope you learned a lot. I know this information can kind of be like drinking from the fire hose. There's a lot of information, but we want to make sure that you all know everything that's available to you. In terms of the grant range for the community program, I believe $5,000 is our minimum grant amount, and it does go on up from there. So great question, Rebecca. Anything else? All right, folks, well, thank you again for being here. We really appreciate your time. Hope you have learned so much, and we very much look forward to working with you in the future. So remember, reach out, let us know how we can help, and we will look forward to receiving all of your fabulous applications soon. Have a great day, everyone.